This is your call. Yeah, we're still family. We will always be family. We are the World Global Network, Reset, Restoration Network family. And yes, we are 198 nations, sovereign nations. These sovereign nations, yes, we make up of 10 plus billion sovereign principled people on this planet. All right, so you just calm down. What has happened is that right now all the nations are sitting, preparing themselves to make sure that that $1 does not gain any more credit, in which it has already lost all credit. They want to make sure that it gains no more credit, and that it does not even raise or rise from the dead out of the ashes. So they realize it was a waste of everyone's time. The United Nations is waiting for the United States of America to finally realize that it has become either part of another nation around the world, or it's going to have to go back and become part of the 5 unincorporated nations, in which was there, always will be there. That was there before they claimed to be of any nation. That's where all the nations are waiting for now. So they're not waiting for anything to drop in their laps. They already have it sitting in their laps. They're waiting for the people of the United States of America to recognize and realize that they're not really a nation, never was a nation, never will be a nation, and all that keep America, make America great again, whatever they're saying. They need to realize that that was never an America. Never. And it's never going to be able to be great because it never was great. And thereby, you can't make something great again that never was. And all the nations are paying close attention to it. Then the nations find themselves once upon a time in total agreement with that one nation, which thrust them into the same predicament of losing everything that they had, failing in every area that they were trying to exceed in. They failed. Then they realized that going to the holy book, the scriptures, which I keep saying to our host, I need her to stay totally focused on indexing, getting the people to identify themselves, and don't give you nothing else. You don't need a preacher. You don't need a preacher. For the matter of fact, if we're reading this book, and I notice I use the word if, I don't like the word if, because I can tell you right now, the majority of you are not even reading the holy books. None of the holy books. You haven't read them. But they tell you that during these times, there will be no voices heard in the streets. What does that mean? Let me help you out. So you need the interpretation of the book that you're reading. When it says there will be no voices heard within the streets or in the streets, it's telling you that you're not going to hear any preaching. No offense to my friends that are still out there wanting to be ministers and classifying themselves as being multi-million-dollar, I would say, industries based upon ministering. They're wasting their time because it already told them that there will be no voices. That's more than one. No voices heard within the street. It tells them there shall be one, only one voice. And that voice, they say, will be a voice whereby it will be telling them exactly what I'm saying right now. Everyone will get angry. Everyone will get upset with that one voice. That's why they keep ignoring that one voice. They don't even mention his name. They don't even mention his existence. But matter of fact, they will deny the fact that he does exist. It's already been told to you. United Nations, you know exactly what I'm saying because you have read the books. You still read the books. You still comply with the book. And the United States of America gets mad when they hear those words. They get angry when they hear the words jihad, knowing that you're only saying holy war. Holy. It's got everything to do with those books. They get angry when they hear Allah Akbar, knowing that you're only calling them to a war of God's war. They don't want to hear that. They don't like the word Islam because they know that that means peace. They understand that that must come after a war. They don't like hearing that. Come back to the United States of America if they might still want to classify themselves as being a nation, knowing that right now there's still no proof anywhere that anyone can find where they were ever given any legal action, no no legal authority were ever given to them to ever become a nation. And they claim to have received their would-be existence from some higher power. No, they didn't say that higher power was God, but they claimed that higher power to be King George III, which no one has been able to find any existence of a King George being in charge of anything. He was a black king, Black King George III. He was a black king. He ruled all of Europe. All of Europe, he ruled it, because Europe was not Europe at that time. It was called U-R, and they added all those other letters to be able to spell out the word Europe, but it was E-U-R-O-P-E, is Europe. They added those letters. It was U-R, and it was King George III, and he was a melanated, black-skinned king. And somehow he comes out having some white family coming from Mattenbatten, or perhaps maybe Phillips. But no one ever knew who they were as a family before, until they decided to switch the whole system to classify themselves as being some white rulers. Everyone already knows this. I'm not giving out any secrets. I'm not giving someone some information they have never heard before, because they know this to be facts and truth. King Charles, Prince Charles, whatever he wants to call himself, the 3rd, the 8th, or the 12th, already knows for a fact that he is a fake. He already knows that there's no way he can claim leadership. Rather, Queen Elizabeth held some so-called would-be leadership for 70-plus years, whatever they want to say. He knows for a fact there's no way he can claim leadership, because she didn't have any leadership. And it was a nice run for a hoax or some fabricated, made-up story. It was a nice run, 70-plus years. You got to say, wow. The truth stayed hidden at least for 70 years. She couldn't claim, really. So she claimed her father was some King Edward IV, by way of having some father that would have been named King George III. But by all stretches, somehow they was able to cancel out King Henry, who was the real true king of the planet, King Henry. And the reason why they were canceling out King Henry, because they realized he was melanated, black. And King George himself did well enough to be able to manipulate the system to become King Henry. Not to mention that they all know that King Henry, somehow he inherited a white son. King Henry the Tudor, which they finally somehow made his number go from 1 to 7. By giving him an unknown son that he would not have recognized by the name of what they would classify him to be, King Henry VIII. King Henry VIII was a fat white boy. And for the matter of fact, as it goes, that fat white boy by the name of King Henry was what everyone knew for a fact. He was a eunuch. Eunuch, they would call him. Which that means that he had no testicles. He was born with no testicles. Thereby, he wouldn't have been able to have any children thereafter. Not King Henry VIII, because he was not the son of King Henry VII or King Henry I, known as the Tudor. That was not his real son. And they all knew that. Even if he had adopted him as an adopted son, he didn't have the ability to father children. So that meant his bloodline would have ended right there. Wouldn't have been able to go any further. And all the wives that they said that King Henry VIII would have had, yet still, not one of those wives would have been able to reproduce children for King Henry VIII. And that's a fact. And the whole world knows that. It's been documented over and over and over again. Yet and still, this is how the so-called would-be King Charles and the would-be Prince Williams and the Prince Harry. This is the way they would claim their so-called would-be leadership to the world. Their king and queenship to the world. And I would believe that they got people dying and fighting just to get into their family, not realizing that the most that they could be doing is joining a deadbeat daddy's line of business. I'm just calling it like it is because I don't know if anyone has been listening to me for any length of time, and if you haven't, that's obviously something that you might classify as being a plus in your category. To me, it's a total negative for you. Because I had those that have been listening to me back in 2014. You remember me telling you about King Harry. And I told King Harry at that time because he was, I would say, they classified him courting. He was courting a young lady that was a melanated female. They're married now, have a couple of children. And back in 2014, he was hanging out with people like Jay-Z and Puff Daddy and all the rest of them. And I was telling everybody that, but no one believed me back then. And I told them the best that he could do was talk to them about being a deadbeat dad. Because I told him it was only a matter of time before he would become a deadbeat dad. Go back and check. You'll find out he had no children by her, and they were only courting during that time. Now, as far as I'm concerned, from what I've gathered, he has 2 already by her, and now 1 on the way, which is going to make him a deadbeat dad of 3 children. I really don't care if he gets upset or not, because he has to understand that he already has a brother by the name of Prince William, who also has 4 children now, because he already had 3. He just had another one, which is 4, and he's a deadbeat dad of all 4 of them, because he don't have anything to give them. I'm just giving you the truth. And the United Nations, you're already well aware of this, because the United Nations, believe it or not, the UK or the United Kingdom, or let's just say the area of Great Britain, is part of the global reset based upon them being one of the nations, of the 198 nations. So all of them are well aware. All of them are very knowledgeable of what's going on. They're just not saying anything to the United States of America because they don't believe they have to tell the United States of America anything, because the United States of America don't truly exist. So they're not of any concern. Yet, the United States of America has placed all the nations in the same category that they're in right now, and that can be found in the Holy Scriptures. That is where all the nations are paying close attention to. They're looking at the book of Psalms, in which Dr. Henderson has been giving them now. Let me help you out. I didn't start that yesterday. Let's go back to 1976. 1976. Dr. Henderson was telling them about this in 1976. Psalm 2. Second chapter, second book, whichever one. Book 1, actually, second chapter. Because Psalms has a number of books in it. And one of the books is Book 1, Psalms, Book 1, second chapter, Psalms 2. It strictly says and answers the question to all the nations out there. The nations in which have come together to do nothing more than reject God and reject the truth, reject the word of the prophecy. And it answers them the question, why do the nations rage? And the people plot a vain thing. The kings of the earth have set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord, Yah, and against his anointed, Yahoshua Psalm, saying, let us break their bonds in pieces and cast their cords from us. It goes on to tell them, he who sits in the heavens shall laugh. The Lord, Yah, shall hold them, the unrighteous, in derision. He shall scorn them, ridicule them. As he is going to make sure that he holds them accountable for all the things that they're committing against this planet. Then he shall speak to them, the unrighteous, in his wrath, and distress them, the unrighteous, in his deep displeasure. Yet he says, I have set my king on my holy hill of Zion. I will, and I have declared the decree. The Lord has said to me, you are my son. Today I have begotten you, ask of me, and I will give you the nations with an S for your inheritance, and the ends with an S of the earth for your possession. You shall break down the unrighteous with a rod of iron, You shall dash down the unrighteous to pieces like a potter's vessel. I say now, therefore, be wise, O kings. Be instructed, you judges of the earth. Serve the Lord, Yah Allah, with fear, and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he becomes angry and you perish in the way, when his wrath is kindled but a little. Blessed are all those who put their trust in him. If you don't, you're going to believe that he is going to make you pay and suffer for not trusting in his Son. I'm just giving you what it says. You can get angry if you want to, but I would tell you, don't become too angry, because it says, be angry and do not sin. Meditate within your heart on your bed and be still. Offer the sacrifices of righteousness and put your trust in the Lord, Yah Allah, God of the universe. No, that's not me talking. I'm not just making up things, and I'm not coming up with any brilliant statements to make to you. I gave you that from Psalms 4. That would have been verse 4. Psalm 4, verse 4. Be angry and do not sin. Meditate within your heart on your own bed and be still. Offer the sacrifices of righteousness and put your trust in the Lord, Yah Allah, God of the universe. I'm just giving you what it says in the book. Most of you are looking for someone to speak brilliantly to you, not recognizing that it's coming straight from the book. Most of you are just waiting for someone to come along that's going to give you your would-be so-called fantasy prophecy based upon reading you your future. You want your future to be so bright. You want it to be so bright. So you're willing to get someone like a Mervyn coming down from the mountains after visiting the house of the magic would-be so-called princess, where she will be lying there, darning her blonde hair and blue eyes, and he will be able to go in and ravish her for a few hours and come out and give you your total fortune of greatness. That's what a lot of you are waiting for. It's a fairy tale world in which you so live in. You want to hear all the great things that's going to happen to you, but you don't want to go through anything. But let me help you out. World War III is something that you're going to go through, whether you want to or not. Once again, I have to say to you, how long, O you sons of men? That's daughters too. You're included. Because to be those of sons of men, you would also have to be the daughters of men. So you can't exclude yourself every time you hear a situation you think you can exclude yourself out of. You only want to put yourself into the situation when it's beneficial for you. When you realize that you may find yourself not benefiting or not even advancing, you want to take yourself out of that would be so-called area of responsibility. That's what I know it to be. You want to exclude yourself then. How long, O you sons of men, will you turn my glory to shame? How long will you love worthlessness and seek falsehood? Now that's you. Again, that's not just me speaking. That comes from the book of Psalms again. That's Psalms 4, verse 2. I'm just giving you what the prophecy is. Since you want your prophecy, you want your fortune told, I'm giving you your fortune. I'm telling you what your prophecy is. I know. You don't want to hear that from me. But as the host has told you, she told you exactly who I am, but none of you believe that. You do not want to believe that. As a matter of fact, you're still waiting for some would-be so-called supernatural Jesus the Christ to come back. That's going to help you do nothing more than benefit off the backs of everyone else on the planet. And you're going to be the only hero that he's going to make out on this planet with. The women are laying around now waiting for Jesus the Christ to come back. He's going to come back and he's going to sleep with them, and they're going to bring forth a child. And this child is going to be the greatest child on the planet. This child is going to be spotless. He is going to be sinless. He would not be able to even sin. For a matter of fact, this child that they're going to have is going to be a little boy. And he is never going to know anything about sex. He's never going to eat the wrong type of food. He's never going to cut his hair. Let me help you out. Not going to happen. He's already back. He's already here. He's speaking to you. Take it or leave it. I know he didn't come in the form that you wanted him to. You wanted him to be a blonde-haired, blue-eyed, sexless individual. That's what you wanted. The only way that would have happened if he had came to the planet tubeless, they would say. Stay with me so you understand what I'm saying. So you don't want what you got. I know this old lady, she would constantly say to us, now that you got it, what are you going to do with it? Because I'm telling you, you got it. You got him. My Father has declared the decree that you were waiting for. The decree that you think he's going to allow you to lie down with some perfectly would-be stranger, a pure, perfect stranger, where you're going to have a pure, perfect child, and that you're going to make him out to be Jesus Christ of the planet. Let me help you out. If I was you, I wouldn't even entertain that. For the matter of fact, knowing that if he comes here, he's going to have to go on the cross, he's going to have to be crucified, and you're going to have to be standing there watching him. Listen to me, Mother Mary, so you understand what I'm talking about. So you will be able to see him bleed out from a spear in his side with a bunch of nails in his hand and feet. Are you serious? You would rather allow all of that to happen just so you can be classified to be some great woman of God? For real. That's what you want. I'm just telling you. Oh, so what did you think? What did you think? What was your ideal of being this so-called would-be perfect creature to bring forth the perfect creature of a man to save the whole universe? What's your picture of it? Help me out. Because I can tell you, I've been through a lot, a whole lot. I get placed on the cross every day from even people just like you, because you don't believe. You still don't believe. You just want to believe by some chance you're the person that was sent to find or either bring the Savior into existence. Help me out. I'm with you. I've already told you. For all of you women folks out there that have jumped into the world of around 1980 when every female decided she was going to burn her bra. I don't understand it, though. You start wearing a thong, but you burn your bra. I don't understand that. Stay with me. I'm only messing with you. But I need you to understand the reality of what's happening here. You can't burn your bra and start wearing a thong and think that you're going to, by some chance, become more respectful to the world, to be able to save the world by you becoming the new would-be so-called savior of the planet. That's not how it works, mama, y'all. Stay with me. I'm just helping you out. For all you women that keep talking about God as a woman, for those, you better understand, not only would he have rested for 6 days after all of his work, he would have found himself doing that at least every other 28 days, resting another 6 days in order to be able to be healthy and strong enough again to start fighting the war again. Stay with me and be quiet, because I'm just telling you about your would-be 28-day cycle. Stop playing with me and be quiet and listen. What do you think? In their right mind, they'll be waiting around for you after every 28 days to take and rest for at least 6 days after a little bit of work. Stay with me. Don't get angry. Don't get angry. I just told you what happened. Be angry and do not sin. Meditate within your own heart, on your own bed, and be still. I'm just giving you what the book said to you. What gave you that kind of mindset anyway, that God would be a woman? When the book already told you that he only rested for 6 days after all that great creation. You didn't hear no breaks of 28 days in the middle. And that after the 6 days that he rested. It said nothing about he had to wait another 28 days and rest another 6 days, did it? It never said anything about that. That's not in the book. So that should tell you right there that he was not a woman. He's been working there ever since then. This world has been working now for however millenniums, and you haven't heard them take another 6-day break in between any of that. So that should tell you right up front, it was not a woman who created this world. Stay with me, women. Don't get angry. Nobody is writing you off the planet. No one is saying that you got to be non-existent. No one is saying that. I'm just setting the record straight so you can get off your high horse of thinking that you're going to be the next god of this planet. That's all I need you to understand. so you get yourself in the right position to be able to receive rather than to think you're going to be able to give. Because it's obvious, even though it was written it's better to give than it is to receive, it's obvious you don't know how to give. God Almighty. Why do the nations rage and the people plot a vain thing? The kings of the earth, they set themselves. The rulers take counsel together against God of the universe and against his anointed one. One. Anointed one. I'm only saying this because I'm doing all of this now so I can get our host also past of believing that she has to convince you that there's a God. Because you're not going to be convinced until after the fact that you see God. And you're going to see him very soon. Prepare yourself. I'm just getting you past it of believing that that's what she has to do, because she don't have to convince you of no God. And I can assure her that's not her calling. She was not called to preach to you. She was not called to convince you. She was not called to even talk to you about God. That's not her calling. You haven't listened to Kenneth Copeland. You haven't listened to Oral Roberts. You haven't listened to Billy Graham. You haven't listened to John Hagee. You haven't listened to Jesse Duplantis. You haven't even listened to Joyce Myers. You haven't listened to Kathleen Hickey. You haven't listened to anyone up to this point. You haven't listened to T.D. Jakes. You haven't listened to Creflo Dollar. You haven't listened to Juanita Bynum. You haven't listened to anyone, Paula White. You haven't listened to anyone up to this point. What makes her think you're going to listen to her? That's why I said there'll come a time when there'll be no more voices heard in the streets. Because you don't listen. None of you don't listen. You go name your pastor, and I tell you, you haven't listened to him. You haven't listened to him. Most of them, you found them out to be what you would call wishy-washy. One day on, the next day off. They give you any reason to follow them, did it? I'm just mentioning it. We are the World Global Network, Reset Restoration Network family. We are 198 sovereign nations. These sovereign nations makes up of more than 10 plus billion people that are sovereign principles. And it's time for us all to start preparing ourselves for that great coming that has already come upon us, and we must prepare ourselves to receive it. Meantime, I know our host is about to tell you a little bit more about identifying yourself. It's called indexing. Identifying yourself while I do us all a favor and take a short break.
Thank you, sir. You just mentioned sovereignty, family. Sovereignty. The very breath of life that came from our Creator. That breath of life, along with it came our sovereign rights. The old Luciferian Babylonian system infringed upon those rights through a control system. That control system has now been destroyed. It was sometimes called the New World Order. It's been called a lot of things. But that system is now destroyed. So now all we've got to do is move everybody from that old system of control, give them their freedom back, their sovereign rights, which has already been done through the Universal World Court, through what Father Yah, Allah, gave to his children when he breathed life into them. Yahoshua just reestablished that through the court, the Universal World Court. So now your sovereign rights, you have the opportunity to be removed from that system, your rights reestablished, and you identify yourself. If you don't identify yourself, you're going to be considered non-productive and be destroyed. That's it. Everything you need to know about the indexing process, why it was put together, how it operates, is all right there on our website at sovcpr.net. Again, that's S as in Sam, O, V as in Victor, CPR, like cardiopulmonary resuscitation.net. CPR. That's what Yahoshua brought to this planet when he breathed life back into a dying world. Resuscitated it again. So your restoration, your protection, and your redemption is under the indexing process. Again, you can set up your own account on there with a username and password on our website. There's a tab at the top that says Index Portal. You just simply go there, upload the documents that are required, which is your birth certificate, a photo ID, and the last four of your national insurance number or social security number, depending on which nation you come from. It's all right there, family. Everything you need to do. You're registered under the Universal World Court. You have recognized international diplomatic status under the Protected Persons Act of 1973. That Protected Persons Act is part of that new identification system. It's been around for a long time, but yes, it's part of that. It's part of that current identification system, so we can know our customer. It's easy, family. Get it done while you have opportunity. And we're moving forward quickly with or without you. So you'll either participate or you won't. And that's on you. We're moving forward without you if you choose not to participate. You will have no standing on this planet. So, without any further ado, I yield back to you, sir.
For the United Nations information and for their acknowledgement, I'm not going to be on here any much longer because I want the whole entire universe to recognize I am not on this call for entertainment. Let me repeat that. I am not on this call for entertainment. I'm on this call to inform the world of what's to come. That's my reason for being on here. I am the true prophecy of this universe. I don't care who gets angry by hearing me say that. I don't care who wants to dismiss what I just said. That's not my concern. I am on this call to inform the entire universe of what's to come. I am giving them the prophecy. Every holy book out there, I guarantee you, if you bring me your scholar, your so-called philosopher, you bring any of them to me, and I guarantee you, I will give them the prophecy of every last one of their books, page by page, and I guarantee them that it will happen thereafter. I'm not on here. It's not a show. I'm not pretending. I am not a scam. I don't need any money from you. I don't need anything from you. I need you to acknowledge God, the real God, the only God, the true God of this universe. That's all I need you to do. And I don't need you to be going to trying to find some name to give him. I am going to show you by your own experience how you're going to acknowledge God. Because again, I say every knee is going to bow and every tongue is going to confess that he is who he say he is, and there is no other. That is how I am going to use your own experience to prove to you that there is only but one God. You can call him whatever name you want to call him. At the end of the day, you're going to call him. I guarantee you're going to call him. You can call him El Shaddai. You can call him whatever you want to. Jehovah Rapha, Jehovah Nissi, Jehovah Yael. You can call him whatever name you want to. You can call him Sabuka. You can call him Buddha. You can call him whatever name you want to. I guarantee that you're going to call him. Because that time is coming when you're going to have to call him. You're going to be screaming his name. You're going to be bouncing down on your knees. You're going to crouch down on your knees. And you're going to huddle your face down to the ground, and you're going to do nothing more than you're going to comply to the laws of this land. And you're going to commit to the laws of this land. Every knee will bow, and every tongue will confess that he is who he say he is, and there is no other. I guarantee it. United Nations, this is your call. I'm not welcoming you to it because now we're preparing ourselves to go our way so we can go to work. Because I'm looking outside my window. It's now day in my area. As it has been written, it has been proven that man must work while it's still day, but when night comes, no man can work. The proof shows that every man who has closed his eyes, never to open his eyes again, is classified night. He's back in darkness. And he don't have to work. He won't need to work. There's no need to work. But I need you to understand, pretty soon he's going to open his eyes again, and he's going to go right back to work. But until then, you need to get your rest, because you're going to truly need it in these times. You're going to need some rest. My advice to you is to get that rest. Close your eyes, relax, and know that there's only but one God, and he has sent his only begotten Son. that whosoever would believe in him will not perish but have everlasting life. He sent not his Son into the world to condemn the world, but through him it might be saved. Those words can be found in John, the book of John. Yes. John 3:16. For God so loved the world, he sent his only begotten Son, and whosoever believed in him will not perish but have everlasting life. He was somebody's son, not himself. You must believe. You don't believe, you don't get saved. Until later, I'll be working. Peace and love and nightfall.